Hello, Steeler Nation, and welcome to your Steeler Nation Vidcast, sponsored by Total Sports Enterprises. We have made so many moves now in free agency, another crazy free agency, which I didn't think we were going to be able to do since we were so much closer against the cap than we were last year, which was when we made all those moves. Still made a ton. Restructured a lot of guys. Just got James Pierre back today. So a lot of fun stuff going on with Steeler Nation. First thing I wanted to start talking about, though, is let's talk about our needs for the team now that we've added all of these players. So let's go on back to the beginning of the season and talk about all of these futures contracts that we ended up grabbing. If you're watching us on Facebook or watching us on YouTube, I'm pulling up the spreadsheet right now so you guys can watch at home and join along. I'm going to go down to the bottom here on the futures just to start off with. Anthony Miller being re-signed for a year. I know that was a big crowd favorite. He's a big guy, still factors into being a part of this team, even having 1 year on injured reserve last year and missing the year, unfortunately. Cody White was a big contributor 2 years ago, less so last year. He's still there. Anthony McFarland, we re-signed him back for another year. Good quality backup when he's healthy. We're worried about his durability. Brought back also Master Teague and Jason Huntley on 2-year futures contracts. I know Teague was hurt last year. Huntley was formerly with Philly. He was drafted in the 5th round by Detroit. Amike Egbule, the inside linebacker from the Chargers, signed him for 2 years, 3 years on special teams with the Chargers. So he was able to go back and forth a bit and make some playing time in the league already. Same thing with Dan Chisena, who is the wide receiver from Minnesota, basically just a special teams wide receiver, a lot like Boykin was for us. He may fill that role here depending on how he does in preseason. Jamarcus Bradley was formerly with Cleveland. He signed 2 years with us. Darnell Wren, the defensive tackle, he got playing time in the last game. Got called up from the practice squad in two games, I think, last year. Or 2 games in 19 by Cincinnati as well. Drafted in the 4th round. Duke Dawson, the defensive back, signed a 1-year deal. He was signed in the 2nd round, 2018 by New England. And he has been on IR for New England, Carolina, and Denver. So the guy just can't get healthy. Sounds a lot like a guy we drafted in the 2nd round a few years back that just couldn't get healthy and couldn't see the field. But maybe Duke will turn into something since he was a 2nd rounder in 18. William Dunkel, guard. He was an undrafted rookie free agent with Philadelphia. Ryan McCollum, the center, was with Houston and Detroit. Scott Nelson was with Seattle. Rodney Williams didn't play anywhere in the league yet. We signed him to a 2-year deal. He's a tight end. He played at Memphis in college. Not sure what to think of the guy at all because I haven't seen him yet. We'll have to see that when he starts hitting in free agency, in training camp coming up. Dez Fitzpatrick, wide receiver, drafted in the 4th round by Tennessee in 2021. He hasn't seen a lot of action, so we'll have to see if he can make any waves. Same thing with Madre Harper, 2-year cornerback, signed from Carolina. He was a Carolina special teams player. He was signed in 2020 by Las Vegas and spent some time with the Giants as well. This guy's cool, Kenny Robinson, safety from Carolina. He played in the XFL for the St. Louis Battlehawks before that league folded in 2020 because of COVID. Then he got drafted in the 5th round by Carolina and played special teams and started getting some defensive snaps last year. So we might be hearing Kenny Robinson's name to make this team this year, especially competing since we have 2 open spots now at safety. Nobody's behind KZ or Fitzpatrick other than Killebrew, who's strictly just a special teams guy. So we'll have to see if Robinson will be able to stretch out those snaps and show he can make this team. Chris Wilcox, cornerback, also drafted in the 7th round in 2021 by Tampa Bay. He spent some time with the Colts in Arizona. He's now with us. And Chappelle Russell, the linebacker, 2-year contract. He was drafted in the 7th round in 2020, also by Tampa Bay. And he spent time with Jacksonville as a special teams player. So a lot of those quick guys. I know those aren't the exciting guys. Those aren't the guys, the bread and butter we want to talk about, which are obviously the big guys. Patrick Peterson coming over from Minnesota. We talked about him on the last show. super excited to have Patrick Peterson on this team. I think he'll be a savvy player for us and make good decisions, be able to steal some balls for us as well with how good we pick off the ball anyway. A guy that just had 5 interceptions last year. Good to add to there. I know everybody's happy to get Ogunjobi back, getting back the Jedi Master, Obi-Wan Gunjobi, back for only costing us $5 million this season. 3 years, $28 million, but 5 years, $5 million this season. Huge. That's a huge signing. Only 4.23 for Patrick Peterson on this year's cap as well. My cat and dog are getting along right now behind us. If you can hear them in the background, they are starting to communicate. My dog is whining. My cat is meowing out of here. DeMonte KZ, my personal favorite, came back as well. Very, very cheap. $6 million over 2 years. 2.13 mil this year. Isaac Seumalo, who just officially signed today. Welcome to the team, Seumalo. And we know he signed a 3-year deal for $24 million. Do not know what the structure is for this season. I'm expecting it to be right around maybe in the $5 to $6 million range with a contract that large. Nate Herbig, we got him from the Jets. Another interior offensive lineman, not as good as Seumalo, but still a good player, can play any position on the interior line. He signed a 2-year contract for $8 million, 2.54 this season. Cole Holcomb, the inside linebacker from Washington, good pickup. Signed him to 3 years, $18 million, 2.7 million this season. Big pickup. Also, Landon Roberts, inside linebacker from Miami. In my opinion, not as good as Holcomb, but still a good piece. Steelers lost 3 inside linebackers, just added 2 more. Those are some big signings. So Landon Roberts was $7 million over 2 years, 2.33 this year. And we, of course, got back our exclusive rights free agents, Jameer Jones and Christian Coots. Those both signed 1-year contracts back in February, the end of February, and just got James Pierre today. James Pierre now, who was a restricted free agent. We did not tender him, so we did not pay that $2 million, close to $3 million that it would have been to tender him. Instead, he probably signed close to league minimum, right around $1 million, maybe a shade under there. Welcome back to the team, James Pierre. I thought he's performing well, especially in that Tampa Bay game. Now, guys, I'll get to your questions before we start talking about other stuff, before we talk about the needs, but I do have the Excel spreadsheet up. It's on the link. If you want to link to it or check out what I'm talking about, go on over to YouTube, go on over to Facebook. It's for SteelerNation.com, and you will be able to see the spreadsheet that I'm talking about and be able to follow it on your own at your own leisure. And I'm going to talk about my guy here first, Miles Pressgraves, being on the show before anybody else. I don't know how you get on the show so early. You got to tell me. You're like on there before I'm even live. Thank you so much, Cooley. Start it up, man. Miles has VIP access. A lot of big moves happening. That is it. Chow, chow, Dad. Omar and Whiteout wasting no time putting their stamp on this team. Love it. And chow, chow, that's something I wanted to talk about too, is the interesting aspect about Andy Weidl is now we're getting a different group of players that we didn't normally look at or know as well in previous years. And that is, he is so entrenched with the great Philadelphia drafts that he was a part of since 2016, but also knows that division very well. Dallas players, Giants players, Washington players, which is how we got Holcomb over here. So really, really interesting. And also the alignment that we just picked up from Philly too, Seumalo. So we're starting to get a different crop of players that we normally might not have even looked at previously with Kevin Colbert. So I find that to be really, really interesting stuff. Robert, love the deal. Our 2 new inside linebackers got me too. Miles Stryker, what are your thoughts on the free agents we picked up and all of those that were let go? Didn't even get to the let go ones yet. Let's go back to the spreadsheet here quickly because at least on the spreadsheet here, the let go is a smaller batch. We lost Cam Sutton, obviously, signed a nice big 3-year contract, $33 million, 3.28 this year, which sucks that it's that low this year. We could have afforded him. But he's going to Detroit. Robert Spillane signed with Las Vegas, 2 years at $7 million, 2.67 this year. Looks like Devin Bush is going to Seattle. Malik Reed's going to Miami. Those are the only people that have gotten picked up. that were a free agent that we didn't re-sign. Obviously, Okunjobi, James Pierre, we re-signed, and KZ. So we re-signed a couple of our own. Jameer Jones and Christian Kuntz were exclusive rights. They really couldn't go anywhere else. So that still leaves William Jackson III, Miles Jack, Mason Rudolph, Derek Watt, Jesse Davis, Tyson Alualu, who I think is going to retire, Marcus Allen, Chris Wormley, who's injured. He's not going to be ready to come back until October. Trenton Scott, Carl Joseph, who I'd like to see back, Zach Gentry as well, Miles Boykin, Carlins Patel, Benny Snell Jr., J.C. Hassenauer, and Steven Sims, and Jerry McNichol, the running back. Don't see a lot of those guys resigning. Maybe some down the road. We will have to see. But right now, I'm not holding my breath on those guys. But I'll be getting to those, my big thoughts on our needs and everything, just from all the ins and outs, who we've got, who we've gotten rid of, who we've brought in. And we'll start hitting on that here soon, too. Love the deal. Yeah, you got that one. Chow chow. What do you think they'll do with Dotson? I haven't been happy with him for a while, but Green couldn't beat him. Now Dotson would be a surprise to hold on to a starting role. Yeah, Dotson looks like the odd man out, which sucks because he's a member of Steeler Nation. He grew up in Steeler Nation. His dad has a black and gold basement. We interviewed him right after he was signed his contract with the Steelers back during COVID. When he was pulling a truck in his driveway just to stay in shape. Dude's a cool dude. I'm really disappointed that he hasn't really translated on the field. I don't know if it's because they've had him playing left guard when he played right guard his entire career, all of high school, all of college. That's where he was an All-American with the Raging Cajuns down there in Louisiana Lafayette. But moving him to left, he didn't do as well. I know he played that one game for DeCastro when DeCastro went down for the one game, and he had the highest rated game for any lineman in PFF that season as a starter. That was at right guard. And then we made him a left guard for some reason, which I don't know why, especially when we're bringing in free agents as right guards. Why wouldn't we just bring in a left guard, make one work? Don't know. Don't know if he's a fish out of water. Don't know if it just didn't translate. I think he does really well in the running game. I think he's a solid pass blocker. He could improve there, but the penalties are the issue. So we have to see what's going to happen with him penalty-wise moving forward, because that's the reason why I think that they're trying to push him out. And Green, he's got to make a waves because we did not sign back Hassenauer. Right now, he's the only other one that's spent an entire season as a center. I know Semialu and Nate Herbig also have some experience at center, as well as Daniels on our team. Cole's still on the team, obviously, being our center. So lots of different stuff going on with that and bringing a lot of guys in. But what I knew now, Steelers aren't going to draft a guard or interior lineman. I do not see the Steelers drafting an interior lineman now. Yes, for an offensive tackle, bringing one in for depth. Not at all for offensive interior line. Those are stock. Those are now undraftable positions, which before we were talking about possibly getting a guard in the first round. We were talking about earlier. We are live. Yes, Michael Hall went defensive and free agent a guard. Yep. I'm still need a wide receiver. Yeah, Derpy. I'm with you there too. We need a slot because I don't know if Austin's going to come back. Don't know that at all. Can't wait for the same mid offense. It's going to be much better this year, and it might even be changing, Derpy. I'll have another podcast on that. We might be changing to a full smash mouth offense, and we might be taking a tight end early with one of our first 2 picks, guys. I see you guys jumping up on Odell Beckham, guys. I'd like him on the team, but he really doesn't fit for what we're doing because I doubt he'd play slot. We need a slot. We got, DJ's the X. He's getting possession receptions. Pickens is on the outside. That's usually OBJ's position at the Z. So I don't see OBJ, especially at his price point, and especially since it means we'll have to get rid of Pickens or have Pickens sit behind him. And I don't think Pickens should sit anymore. You guys can disagree with me. It comes down to, would you rather have OBJ or Pickens starting at Z for us? I know who I'd rather have right now. I like the price point and the future and potential ability of Pickens currently. I think he was a great draft pick and one that I'm looking forward to really making some waves for us here. And I'm going to get to your questions here now too. Sorry, Instagram. I was over here. I had to get on board with my peeps over here on the board first. before getting to your questions, but I know you've been very active as well. Who should be taken at 7? Man, I just missed. I don't know why this thing is just dropping back down. Yep, we got that. Steelers record next year. I'd say next year, I think we can win 10 games pretty significantly. Probably closer to 11 is going to be my pick for next year. So that's going to be what I'm going for. Alex Costello, 75, asking who we should pick at 17. My favorite is Gonzalez if he's there. Probably not going to be there. Dude's a stud corner. If he's not there, my second Trump pick is Branch. I bring in Branch because he can help out at inside linebacker. He can help out at slot. He can help out at safety. And we go 3 safety a lot. That's a guy that's going to be coming in and helping out with 3 safety, especially since Sutton, who used to rotate back into safety, is now no longer on the team to do so. Yeah, we have Norwood that does rotate in those roles as well between deep safety and slot as well, but he's not a tackler. I need a tackler. That's who I'd like the most at 17. That's who I would be really happy to get, but I'd also be happy if one of the stud offensive tackles drop. Because the way the Steelers draft guys, we're always drafting in the back half of drafts. Steelers don't have a Hall of Fame left tackle for a reason. It's because we're always drafting outside of the top 15. Can't find stud offensive tackles outside of the top 15 unless you get lucky in a draft. And we haven't gotten that lucky yet for an offensive tackle yet. But a top 10 offensive tackle for most drafts may be available at 17. And if we can get them there, we take them. That is another position I would not be unhappy about there. Thanks, Alex. I appreciate that question. Steel Nation, thank you, Shane. Wait, welcome to the show. How about them Steelers? Indeed, Ush. Indeed. Well said. Jackson, what's the news? Well, so far we picked up Jason Pierre today was the big news. He re-signed with us. He was a restricted free agent. We didn't take him his $2 million restriction tender. Let him test free agency. We just brought him back, probably around league minimum. Jackson, big Steelers news, of course, always. Yeah, I told you about Big Bus told you about OBJ, my thoughts. Minuti, welcome from Brazil, my man. How are you, man? I'm a little crazy. Been answering my question on this show. I'm shaking. Dude, anytime. I will always answer your questions. You're a big friend of the show, and you have always been active on Instagram. If everyone could be like Minuti. Viterio, if tight end isn't brought back, do you think Norwood, right? If sorry, that's an abbreviation for Terrell Edmonds. Sorry. Isn't brought. Do you think Norwood will get more playing time? Or drafting a rookie or another late vet signing? Yeah, I was thinking about also a guy that was on our team last year in Carl Joseph, bringing him back to be able to play that box safety role a bit on rotation and do some slot. He was injured all year last year. Didn't get to play. Love his game film. He was a great pro. So I would be really excited to see if we could find him, at least bring him back on a 1-year contract, show me contract, to have him compete in training camp because he's that good. But yeah, Norwood is definitely an option there as well, both at safety and at that slot position. So good point. Good point, Viterio. Jackson, yep, I told you about that. We talked about the big Steelers. I know you kept asking. I'm sorry it took me a bit to get to you guys, but I always get to the questions, my friends. It takes me a little bit, but I will always get to you because this is your show. It is your show. Hell yeah, Jasmine. Welcome to the show, Jasmine. And guys, be sure to share this, like this. Make sure everybody, all your friends know about Steeler Nation and the fun stuff we're doing on the casts. Obviously, you can go over to YouTube to the /Steeler Nation and check out all the stuff as I always broadcast it live. Ush, excited for the draft. Let's go. Get more excited because I'm on the draft, Ush, 24/7. Every hour the draft is on TV, you get my face on your computer. We talk draft. I answer your questions. We take your comments. We bring in reporters. We bring in former players, current players, hopefully this year. So we'll have a lot to talk about on the draft show. I start a half an hour before each show, usually end right at the end of the draft because we're not doing much, except for day 3 when I'm on for like 10 hours. and I stay on an extra hour for all the undrafted rookie free agents picked up as well. So mark that on your calendar, guys. Be sure to be watching us for the draft show coming up 3 days in a row. It'll be me, and I don't take breaks. I'm not Mel Kiper. I don't take bathroom breaks. I'm here the whole time. I think I took a total of, 27 minutes in breaks for 3 days last year. Previous year was closer to 40 minutes, but 27, because I did have to go to the bathroom once, and I had other people talking while I went to the bathroom. Mexico, woo! Luxury pick, outside linebacker to go with Watt. I like Highsmith, but I'd like to see Nolan. Yeah, I mean, definitely drafting an outside linebacker is definitely an option, even though we picked one up from that guy from Miami. What's his name again? Let me bring up his name. Landon Roberts. He's got a potential for being on the an outside linebacker as well, working in our system. So we'll have to see if he works out. But you guys are starting to say the positions, and I'll give you the hard positions that we need here too. As soon as I get down here through a lot of your stuff. Phil, welcome back to the show. How do you feel about Sims potentially going to Houston? Bittersweet. Sims did a fine job last year for us, both as a kick and punt returner when Gunner pooped the bed, man. I couldn't believe Gunner just could not catch a football. Sims did a much better job, had a nice big return in one of the games. I thought he was going to break it the whole way, but almost did. Good receiver, X-capable, slot-capable. So Houston's going to get a good player if he goes to Houston. I just don't see him coming back on the team, which sucks because now we do not have a kick returner, punt returner right now. Because let me check this out. Is Gunner still on the roster? I'm checking the roster right now to see if Olszewski's on the roster. Hijklmn. Gunner's still on the roster. Yep, he's still rostered for this season. I thought he was could be cut, and he still can be, but right now he is still rostered. So technically, he's our top returner. He is our top returner. Yuck, no, big man. Is Roethlisberger going to come out of retirement? No. We just broke a story today at SteelerNation.com. Go over and check it out, where he considered San Francisco actually reached out to Roethlisberger last year down the stretch, seeing if he'd come out of retirement to help them out for the playoffs. He considered it, and then he declined it. So if he declined that in that situation with a chance to win a Super Bowl, yeah, I don't see him ever coming back. He is done. He is retired. He is getting on with his life's work, and more power to him and blessings to him and his family. Again, I've opened the Steelers have a better year, or hope the Steelers have a better year next year. They will. They definitely will. Offensive line was already starting to gel. Now we're bringing in some real bangers. Like, the whole composition of this offensive line is starting to change a bit, which makes me think our draft strategy is starting to change a bit. Going to get to that real soon. Constantin Odell. Yep, I know a lot of you guys like Odell. Some guy, Blitzburg Nation does not like Odell. Bad fit. I'm with you too. I wanted him earlier in his career. When we didn't have a better choice at Z receiver, I was all on the Odell train. Tomlin and I were both high on him the year he was drafted. He went way before us. Great receiver, and would have fit in very well in our system, opposite at that time of AB, I believe it would have been. So that would have been a really nice 1-2 punch. Jaden Reed is a guy to look for in round 4. What position is he? Guys, when you mention people in the draft, tell me their position, tell me their school, so it can jog my dumb memory, because right now I don't recall who Jaden Reed is. I know I'll be much better on draft day when I have my draft guru people here as well. And we'll have we'll do a vidcast too with the draft guys as well. Pickens all day. Yep, we're starting to talk about it. Pickens or OBJ? Pickens. Defensive tackle first round, still a possibility, Blitzburg Nation. Or did you say OT? That's OT. Offensive tackle, yeah. Offensive tackle is definitely a big, big possibility. Like I said, my Trump picks are Gonzalez at corner, maybe taking another corner depending on who the Steelers like. Branch, I think, is a trump pick. That guy can play 3 positions, safety, inside linebacker, slot. Otherwise, offensive tackle, we get one of those big bodies to drop. Big pick. Defensive tackle could be a pick up there as well, guys. Don't know. Doubt inside linebacker is going to be the choice there, though. Delgonzo, I think we need to find a real dime defensive back. Because Sutton was that dime guy, dime dollar. He came in as the extra. Norwood's that guy right now without him. So, he still can play that role. Dubs, thoughts on Z Elliott for backup running back? I think he's going to be too expensive, but yes, backup running back. We are missing a third running back on this roster, though we do have some good options that I just talked about with the futures. We got Major Teague, we got Huntley, we've got McFarland already rostered on the futures rosters. So McFarland was going to be backup 2 years ago before he got hurt going into the season. Guy has the potential to be a good player in this league. Problem is his durability. Can he be durable? Teague, can you be durable? Guys have talent. Both of these guys have talent. But we know Warren's in. We know Najee's in. We got 1 and 2 locked up. So third is an option either late in the draft, undrafted rookie free agent, or a vet. So yes, I would like to have a guy like Zeke as a vet running back. Problem is he's going to want money. He's not going to take a $2 million, $3 million contract for the Steelers. He's not. He's looking for 5, 6, 7, 8. He's looking to get paid. So we'll have to see how free agency works out for him. Phil, Branch is the way to go. Preach. Exactly. Dude, the more film I'm watching on Branch, the more I absolutely love the guy. And he just does so much that we need and has the speed and athleticism to be disruptive as a slot corner, as an inside guy, and can hit. I want hitters. Like, we've had to suffer through Edmonds for 4 years, guys. 5, right? Yeah, 5, because we brought him back as a free agent. We didn't give him his 5th-year option, but didn't have to, he's solid, but he doesn't hit hard. Like, we're used to seeing Ryan Clark deplete people. We're used to seeing Polamalu destroy people's games and just take them out of games, knock their helmets off. Like, that's what I want to see at strong safety. Branch is that kind of guy. Bring the hitters back. Bring these hitters back. And Rod, nose tackle via free agent or draft. Yes! Both. Because we do not have a backup nose tackle, and I think that we could also upgrade Adams. We get somebody on day 2 to play interior line, 0-1 tech, right there on the nose, right there lining up on the center or the 2 gaps to the other side. That is a guy that's going to compete with Adams to be a starter. And I would be looking forward to that competition. Always. That'd be a great competition in training camp. So, yes. Otherwise, we got to pick somebody up. Alualu's going to retire, guys. I don't think we're going to bring him back. I know. I just saw Al Woods hit free agency because he just got cut by Seattle, I think. He's like 35. We're not bringing him in either, guys. So even though he could probably play the 0 tech a little bit for. Should we still draft Joey Porter Jr.? Possibility, Mr. LB. It just comes down to what the Steelers want in a cornerback. He's got the size, he's got the power, and he has the pedigree. The only thing he doesn't have is the interceptions. So it depends on what the Steelers like. Would they rather have a guy like Banks, out of Maryland? That's a guy I'm starting to look up a lot now. I mean, Gonzalez is obviously the guy we all want. Got a lot of good guys up there too. I know Ringo, we're looking at him in the 2nd round as an option. We got some great options. It just depends on the value there because corner's still going to be stocked in the 2nd round. So it might be a situation where we just get a position that fell to us that normally wouldn't unless we have a draft where they're taking 4 quarterbacks before we draft. Dumb, but great for us because somebody's sliding. Somebody takes a running back before we pick. That slides another guy right down our gullet. Wide receiver, keep them coming. We're not taking a wide receiver with the 1st pick. Sorry, Addison, we're not taking the 1st round. Maybe in the 2nd, not in the 1st. Not in the 1st. But that's the way I see it. If there's somebody that just cannot miss outside of Joey Porter, because I do like Joey Porter's measurables, and I loved his dad. Don't get me wrong. I was calling him to be a starter in his 2nd year into training camp when he wasn't a starter. That guy was killing people in training camps. His rookie season and his 2nd year before he became a starter. Loved him. Absolutely loved Porter. Christian, Steelers, sneaky and underrated in free agency as always. Khan is definitely aggressive. Love it. Me too. Going back over here, guys. We got Miles. What are you expecting the draft now to look like with our free agent picks? Let's get into talking about that now, guys. We talked about our free agents. We talked about everybody been doing. I've left you on hanging for long enough, so unless you've already jumped on this spreadsheet and scrolled to the bottom to see what I have, let me bring up what I've got down here for our needs now that we drafted. So free agency, guys, if you can see, I've got them listed in green, yellow, and red. Reds are our biggest needs. We had and I went for starters first in the needs column. So these are starters actually, and then depth behind there. So I'm actually going to change this on the fly. So we took care of our starting safety with bringing in KZ, took care of starting inside linebackers by bringing 2 to the team, took care of defensive tackle by re-signing Okunjobi. Those are starter positions that were completely vacated. Those now have positions. Another one that's vacated is kick and punt returner. That I have listed as a high probability. Still don't have a slot receiver just because I don't list Austin as a slot receiver until he can play a meaningful game. He's still a question mark. Can we upgrade him in the draft? Maybe, because he's a small guy. So wide receiver right now and cornerback, because depth at corner that we just picked up, I might have to change that now to a green because now we're still looking for that extra depth slot position with Pierre not being on the roster until that just happened today. But we can still upgrade that position, start building it. We know we're going to have Peterson for 2 years, but he's going to start going off the cliff here soon. So definitely this is a great draft for corners. This is definitely spots that I need. But the things that we're drafting for, guys, is depth. These are the spots that we need the most depth on the team. Backup tight end, don't have one. If you guys think it can be Hayward, that makes one of us because I don't yet. I think he can be a good third tight end. I don't want him to be the downhill blocker on inline blocking schemes with 2 tight ends. He's not that big. He's not that strong yet. Maybe someday. Not right now. Nose tackle, we just talked about that. We have no backup nose tackle. Alualu's gone. And we only have the starter being Adams. Defensive tackle, we need depth. We always draft him for depth. I know we got Loudermilk back there. We got Leao, who's looking like to go more of a hybrid role for edge as well. Going to have to see how he works into the system this year. Quarterback, we only have 2. We need 2. We go into camp with 4. Might be drafting 1. Might be one of our 7th round picks. There's some good quarterbacks that are going to be available right there around the 7th round. I was looking at the guys from Man, I looked at 2 guys yesterday. I couldn't remember who they are off the top of my head now. Safety as well. We still need depth behind KZ and Fitz. 2 spots are still open. Offensive tackle, we can use some depth. Don't really have a swing guy to hang a hat on. Running back, we need our 3rd running back. And I see that's a less of a need just because we have so many good futures potential there, but can do it. Cornerback, we talked about as well, being a depth need. Center, a true center might be a possibility. Otherwise, our inside offensive lineman, I have taken off the board. I have that need met by free agency. Same with interior or inside linebacker, though I can still see the Steelers taking one if they like one a lot. Because we still do have 1 more slot left for an inside linebacker. Outside linebacker as well. That's one we probably might not even address till day 3. So this is how we're looking. Our needs, guys. Tight end. That's a bit. It's the position a lot of us aren't talking about. And this is one that I just found just doing the legwork. Steelers need a tight end. Now, will they grab one at 17? Probably not. Will they grab one at 32 or 49? I think probably. And I'll tell you why. I think the Steelers are starting with all these free agent moves, Miles, that we're talking about. We're moving to more of a downhill blocking, run, smash mouth offense. So now I'm starting to think maybe This is when we grab a tight end 2, which is like a tight end 1B to Freiermuth 1A, to have 2 diverse tight ends that can block and release and go out for passes and be weapons and help out the running game, be another inline blocker. That's what I'm looking for. I know the first tight end off the board is supposed to be a great pass catcher. Probably not going to take him because he can't block. We don't need that. We need an inline blocker that can also make plays down the field. Get a guy like that, maybe get one in the second round or third round. It looks like the Steelers may start pushing to more of an offense like the Ravens. Not exactly like the Ravens because we have a quarterback that can actually throw downfield. So it's going to be a little different than the Ravens because we can actually throw the football a little bit more effectively. Derpy, just because DJ is still here? Yes. Yeah, especially with the price points. You're talking about price points between DJ and OBJ as well. DJ's dirt cheap. Dirt cheap for a starting X. He took a pay cut. He's at $13 million a year. Guy is a Steeler, and he takes so many hits from Steeler Nation about, yes, he puts some balls on the ground. Yes, he puts some more toward the end of the year than he does at the beginning of the year, which is odd to me. But he's our best receiver on the team. He's one of the best route runners in the league. And at a $13 million price point per season, when people at his caliber were getting in the 20s, I will take him all freaking day for the next 2 years at $13 million a season. Michael Hall, happy late birthday to our Coach T. Happy birthday, Coach T. Brian Brown, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Miles, can we get an F in chat for Miles Jack, a cap casualty hit? Yes. That was the one that we started talking about on the show where I was like, this guy might be a cap casualty player. Just because of the amount, like we wouldn't have thought about it. Interesting statistic that we had from last year. Through 6 weeks of the season last year, he had more tackles than any Steeler through the first 6 weeks in Steeler history. Then he got banged up, was not the same player second half of the season, unfortunately. But he was banging for the first 6 weeks. But peace. Good luck to you, Miles. I hope you land on a good team. I hope you get some good playing time. You're a good player. Slash! I'm thinking they might move Dotson during the draft. That's smart. That would be awesome, Slash. If we can get anybody like a 5th or a 6th, because those are the picks that we're missing. And that would be good. Like somebody in the South might want that. Some Tampa Bay might be a team because they drafted his brother initially, I believe, when we were talking about them. Does Dotson have a brother? Yeah, I think he has a brother too. So yeah, we'll have to see where they end up. That'd be interesting to see if he goes back down to New Orleans, maybe. Be interesting. Will be interesting. Brian Brown, Steelers don't need receivers. We need one more. We need a slot. Pickens is an absolute beast. He's going to be a GOAT. Yep. I'm glad you guys came back in on that too. Slash, sure they need a receiver, a slot receiver. Definitely do. Will Sims stay as a returner, or do you think they'll move on? Right now, he's a free agent. He's not on the roster, Chow. And he's looking, we've been talking, it looks like Houston's looking at him right now. So he might be going to Houston. Slash, I think I read, yep, he's visiting Houston. 17-0 is the record. Of course, Brian Brown. That's always the record. Undefeated. Cool insight on Dotson. Thanks, Jake. 20-0, Brian. Yeah, George. Means we're going undefeated through the Super Bowl. We got a 20-0 record up on the board. Love it. You're right, George. Cooley, just realized you showed Egabule as an inside linebacker. He played outside linebacker at UH. And from what I've read, played inside linebacker and outside linebacker with the Chargers. Great. I will just put him down as LB. Thank you so much, Cooley. I appreciate that insight, especially about your Houston Cougars. And what do you see him like? You watched him as a Cougar and probably see him a little bit as a pro. Robert, where do you think he would fit best in our system since we have 2 inside linebackers? Do you think that would be a good spot for him, or do you think he would excel a little better on the outside? I'd love to hear that coming back from you. Jake, when I pause and redo because my bride hollers and I'm still live. That's it, Jake. Robert, he needs to be drinking draft show. Like, take a shot for each pick. Okay, guys, we'll vote on it. I'll put it up on the Twitter when I get access to that again. I'm getting knocked off everything right now. But we'll see if I actually do a drink each draft pick. Easy to do on day 1 and day 2. When we get to day 3, the show gets sloppy. Especially when we hit the 7th. Though we've got a nice big gap. Actually, it might be a little easier this year when we have that nice big gap. Yeah, we'll pick up a 4th rounder. Don't have a 5th or 6th rounder. I got plenty of time to just hang out. 2 7th rounders. Yeah, I think I could stay pretty sober this year. Yeah, we'll do a beer per pick, and I'll get some good beers for this show. George, I like the way you think, Robert, and we can all cheers together because that's what we do on the show. Jake, I'm starting not to hate the idea of Van Ness at 17. There's the linebacker, too, that we've been talking about. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of drafts that have put Van Ness to us for some mocks. I've also seen some mocks that have us taking him with the first pick in the 2nd round. So I know that just for a fact, the 1st round pick is going to be a great player. It's going to be a player that we could not believe that we got, which is probably going to be one of those tackles or Branch or Gonzalez. Something crazy is going to happen. A lot of needs have been met in free agency for a lot of these teams that were looking to grab these corners and safeties. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this shakes out. But yeah, I'm excited to see what that, Van Ness, I would not be upset at all if he's on the team because he can play. He can play and he'd be a good tackler on this team as well. Slash Cope would have to fill his shot glass with Kool-Aid. Van has a high ceiling. He was definitely a high boom or bust type. Got good input, guys. Don, CA3. Yeah, I'm waiting for CA3 to be on the field once. Brian Brown, we have Gunner and Calvin Austin III. Yes, we do. But so far, do you want Gunner to be your returner? We've seen him. I don't. Not the way he was returning last year. Austin is a little bit more athletic. He was better in college. If he's on the field, he's going to be playing returner. Can he stay healthy? I don't know. Don't worry, they will take Tank Dell in the 3rd for the slot and returner duties. I know you've been saying that. Maybe the 4th, Robert. I don't know if I want to take Dell in the 3rd. Tank in the 4th. Yep, I take him in the 4th. He's a small guy, too. It's like having 2 Calvin Austin the 3rds on the team. They're going to see who's the smallest guy on the team. Chow, Dad. I can't see them trusting Gunner as a returner again. I'm with you. Absolutely with you. Extra excited about our pickups and the undrafted rookies this year. Thanks, Jake. Yeah, me too. Steelers are setting up the picket fence. They are, Miles. Slash. Gunner to me is a waste of coin. That's rough. Austin the 3rd has speed. Can he hold it physically? Is a returner. That's what I've been saying. What up, Claude? Welcome to the show. Sorry, I'm just getting to you now. Odell with Pickens? No, thank you. Pickens is very emotional and doesn't need someone like Odell having a negative effect on him. He is an emotional guy. And that's a good point. Locker room, Richard Pounder, that's a great point. Locker room presence is key. And this might be the time to pass on guys like Odell Beckham. Miles, Tomlin and Omar were at the Iowa Pro Day, and we'll see Miley Ross, the white cornerback, to be drafted by us. Maybe. I hear he can play. Brian Brown, the Steelers don't need any receivers. This is a year the Steelers should draft all defense. Yeah, but on offense, if we can get that tackle, we're taking them. Tight end, possibility too. Quarterback, maybe late. But yeah, wide receiver as well. Claude, what's up, Brian and George? Travel buddy, welcome to the show. Gluten to Ben, greetings from a German Steeler Nation member. Danke schön, willkommen, travel buddy. I've been to Germany quite a few times. I am, with my G.Stryker last name, I am mostly German. Half of me is. Hey, Claude. Richard Pounder, Reed, wide receiver and returner from Michigan State would be a good late round pickup. That's what we're trying to look at, and that's what I'm trying to think of who we're going to take with those late picks. Would it be try to bank on a pass rusher, grab a quarterback that we don't have to use an undrafted rookie free agent slot for or compete with other people, or wide receiver? That's a real good point about that spot. Claude /Steele. If Pickens or DJ goes down, the group is in trouble. They need a wide receiver. Yeah, we need depth. Definitely need depth, but Anthony Miller's coming back too. He looked great in preseason and training camp. Looked amazing, and then got hurt. Michael Hall, heads up to every Steelers fan when the draft show starts and when Kuiper talks, mute him and just listen and watch the man. This man, he is more entertaining and fun to hang out with and talk about Steelers. You're welcome. Thank you, Michael Hall, for always giving us great kudos and promoting the shows. Richard Pounder, Muhammad Ibram, running back of Minnesota, would be an amazing third guy. Doesn't have speed, but chums out the tough yards, 1,500 yards hit this past season. Yeah, I just don't see running back as being a position we're just going to take this year, Richard. That's a lot of draft capital if we're going in the third for a running back, especially when we have 1 and 2 locked up. Nobody's taking their spots. Bringing a guy we can develop, and that means 7th rounder, undrafted rookie free agent. To me, I mean, I don't know exactly what's going to happen. If the Steelers think that he's a guy they have to take there, they'll take him. But personally, I just don't see running back being a position taking outside of the 7th round. Most likely undrafted rookie free agent. Miles, have you been watching film on Drew Sanders, middle linebacker out of Arkansas? No, not yet. Not yet. I know a lot of mocks are starting to have him on our radar as well. And a little bit farther, 2nd rounder, one of the 2nd round picks. So that would be interesting. Branch would be a good pick. Definitely a gamer. Miles absolutely loves Sanders. Kylie Ringo, absolute stud. Using the 32nd pick for him would be a good value. Yeah. What I think, and that's the thing, right at 32, I think one of those players that we wanted at 17 is also going to be there at 32. One of those stud corners are going to drop. One of those stud inside linebackers or linebackers going to be there. Tackle. Somebody's going to be there that would just be like, it's like having another 1st round draft pick, because it is, because we're drafting 32nd, which normally is a 1st round draft pick. So just with the numbers game, we're getting a 1st rounder. And then subtract every wide receiver, quarterback, running back, tight end, even in the 1st round that's coming off the board. That knocks our players down for us. Gives us another chance at a good off guard as well. We'll put guard up there too. And center, but center's pretty much guard. Interior offensive lineman, we'll just say. So tackles, we're looking at linebackers, inside more than outside. Defensive tackle, offensive tackle, safety. Those are the 5 spots we're drafting in those spots. And those first 3 picks, those are the spots we're targeting. Tight end might be a outlier as well for those, but those are the big ones that we'll have to see. Slash, not sure a running back would be picked in the 3rd with so many. Yep. Yeah, I'm with you there. As a 3rd or maybe a 4th option, I would say maybe a 4th or 5th round pick. Unfortunately, we don't have a 5th round pick. But I hear what you're saying, Travel Buddy. I do hear what you're saying. I like Ringo at 32. I think that's a good value. Yep, we heard you on that one. Abraham running back would be a good late rounder, 5th to 7th. Yeah, if we can find him in the 7th, because right now we don't have a 5th or a 6th. Ringo's star. I always think of the Beatles too. Every time, Cooley. Us old men, when we hear Ringo, we're like, where's John and Paul? I'd like to be under the sea in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform playing corner. Yeah, that's a song. So, Robert Tamburo, how do you, Striker? And we keep a positive no matter what subject we talk about. I'm going to just give a positive side and not my usual realistic analysis. You can do whatever you like, man. We're friends. I don't care. Whatever you want to talk about, I'm here for you, my friend. Today's my day for all positivity, balanced straight through. I must have been half glass empty. Big Ben just had Coach T on for a show for like an hour and a half. Yeah, 40 minutes. Yeah, 2-hour interview. Whole thing's really good. Mike Tomlin is down to earth and so likable. I'm looking forward to watching that, Robert. I haven't seen it yet, but it's on my watch list right now. You need wide receiver, strong safety, cornerback, and tackle upgrade. Don't see room for a tight end early. That's only if we change strategy, Slash. If we become a downhill running team, I would expect us to take one with the 2nd round pick or the 3rd round pick, the second round pick, 3rd round pick, or maybe the 4th rounder. Chow chow. With all these moves for road graders and downfield blockers, Najee must be doing a happy dance. Indeed. Michael Mayer from Notre Dame, great run blocker. Yes, that was the first. That's my number 1 guy right now. If I'm going to take a guy, it's Michael Mayer from Notre Dame. Guy can play. He can get down the field. He can catch passes, and he can hit hard. That's my favorite if we're moving toward that type of offense, and we'd find out in the 2nd round if we're moving toward that type of offense, because I think that's when he's going off the board. Robert Striker, watching, you'll hear a Big Ben and sidekick Coach T talk about how they're getting into microbrews and then goes into detail about describing some awesome. Mike T is a Miller Lite guy. Oh, disgusting. I hope Robert C is here today so I can say something positive. He is. You're both here, and you guys are great. Just have fun, guys. Any team that has Deontay Johnson as their number 2 receiver is going to be a definite playoff team. And any team with Deontay Johnson, either third wide receiver, is going to be a championship contender. It's always good to bring in talent. Jake Wade, could be the quarterback from Houston be available at 7? Yes. Yeah. Ask us that too here, Cooley. We're seeing if your quarterback's going to be there at 7, the 7th round. We have to do a drink draft show. All righty. All right. We're doing it. Thank goodness we re-signed Larry O because he's been our only replacement to do it now with a replacement for Javon Hargrave got sick. Yeah, and Javon Hargrave actually played the 0 tech too. He could play at nose. Okunjobi did play a little bit there too. He was much better on the outside, more of a replacement for Tuitt because we really felt that loss of Tuitt. But I'm with you right now. Already said it. Nose tackle is one of our highest needs for this year. Absolute highest since we don't have Alualu returning. Have the Steelers been trying to move on from Dotson the last couple of years because he's been out for the offensive lineman? So why would you move him? And his dad, a lifelong Steeler fan. That's the exact same thing I said in the show when I talked about Dotson. All over that. Washington early of Schoon from Michigan later for blockers. Okay, I could see that. Yeah, for tight ends. Definitely. Tune is the Houston quarterback. Yes. Tune him up. Dotson has been our toughest O-lineman with a mean streak, which is something missing from the rest of the line. Why wouldn't you keep a tough guy? And that's what I like about him, too. I know his penalties are a big negative, but he does hit hard when he's downhill with blocking. He's a great run blocker. Dotson is too up and down, which is why he is on their bubble. Almost perfect pronunciation. I try my best. I mean, I know how to order a little bit. I mean, geez. What is it like? Zwei Bier, bitte schön. Was ist das eine? What was it? I forget how to say bathroom. But I used to be pretty good at it. I stayed in a couple homes over there too when I was in courses in high school, learning the language there and the immersion at the homes. But man, beautiful country. Love it. Brian Brown, Striker, do you see the Steelers going old school smash mouth like when the bus was rolling in? Yep, that's exactly where I see us starting to move that way, and we will find out if we go that way with a drafted tight end. Drew Belansky, welcome to the show. Sup, Striker? I had one of the best tavern burgers I've had in a long time, speaking of beef, which is more likely defensive line or offensive line in the first round. And who do you like? Defensive line or offensive line? I would actually rather the Steelers took one of those offensive linemen. Hopefully one of the tackles, Drew, that fall to us. I know we've got a lot of them being mocked to us now, but defensive line may be an option as well. But I stated everybody knows how much I love Brian Branch. I think he fits 3 roles. I love Gonzalez as well, but I don't think he'll be there. Tamburo, you should really be here. You should be here for the draft here in Rip City. We went to Star Bar yesterday and they gave me a pint and a big shot of whiskey for a total of $5. Free fentanyl testing strips. Nice. Jake Wade, I think this is the program I'm picking to watch during the draft. Thank you, Jake. This is what it is, guys. We sit around, we laugh, we have fun. I just get to bring in more people and talk with to bring our draft guru people that know more about the players than I do. I don't study everyone exclusively. There will be some positions I'm going to look more into. I did some tight end already. I'm going to look. I did some offensive tackle for first round ability, some interior linebackers, and a couple defensive players too that can play nose. But I'm going to do a little bit more for nose, looking at those spots, and then a little bit more also for wide receivers coming up because I think we're going to be taking one as well. Tambora, that's it, draft baby. There's only one thing I hate about the draft. It is always so late here in Germany. Yeah, because it's coming on at like, 3 o'clock in the morning over there? I think, yeah, that's horrible. I think 6 hour difference, right? 6, 7? About that. So, yeah, if we're starting at 7 o'clock here, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's about 3 o'clock in the morning over there. And that's just when it starts. You don't have to wake up for another 2 hours till the Steelers draft. So, like, by 5 a.m. Check it out. Slash, I think the Dolphins for Minka and the 32nd pick due to their draft pick being taken. Nice. Oh, Travel Buddy, also, what you can do is we'll finish our show when you wake up in the morning. Go to YouTube/Steeler Nation. You can watch the show in its entirety, and you'll be connected to the draft. That way you can get a good night's sleep. So that's a good way for you to do it. Robert, because the Steelers have been concentrating on outside O-line and rocks tackle happened for mid-rounds for the Steelers. Yeah. I believe Igabule came out at UH at 6'2", 245 pounds, ran something like a 4.640. I think he's big enough to fill in inside, but believe he would serve the Steelers better as a backup for either outside linebacker. Cool. Thanks for that insight, Cooley. I appreciate that, man. Dotson is our best smash mouth downhill guy last couple years. Why are they going to replace? I'm with you on that. I'm not arguing against you. Hopefully this is going to be some big competition for Dotson. Or we're going to turn him into a draft pick or maybe turn Daniels into a draft pick. I don't know who we're trying to move. Jake Wade, insights on our new coach positions. I think cool on the promotion and excited about what the Ravens coach can bring. Yeah, we brought in the Ravens coach as the special defensive assistant. So Ravens are gold standard in the NFL for providing great defense through the draft. They build through the draft every year. I mean, obviously their highest paid player is the guy that they just brought in from Chicago at inside linebacker now. But that's a little bit of an outlier. But most of the time, the guys, they draft Queen and Bouquet. They got some great players in and around front seven. Always have great corners. Wade, all those guys, they can play. They freaking play. So interested to see how he's going to work out, helping us implement and getting our young players ready to play like they do in Baltimore. And it doesn't matter who comes on the field. It seems like they can all play. Love it. Miles, there's so many possibilities for this draft. I feel like it can't come soon enough. Clayton Tune, my guess is he's gone early as round 5, but could slip to 7. And if he does, I hope the Steelers take a shot. Their pro day is Thursday, so we shall see how he does then. And we'll see who shows up too for the Steelers pro day. Minnesota running back turns into a bowling ball. Pretty cool. Awesome, Jake. It's hard to predict which player will be available at which position. It's always a crapshoot, guys, but we have people we like. Gotta go, Strikers. Great show. Happy to make this one. Me too, Miles. Thanks for making the show. Didn't Dotson have a twin brother, Kenny? Yes, and he got drafted as well. So that's why I think that he may move to a team to play with Kenny. So that'll be interesting. I think Kenny was drafted by Tampa Bay. If I'm going off the top of my head, I might be wrong. Miles, I agree. There's just so many possibilities. Tamburo, I agree that Omar's strength is depending reasonable contracts, and he probably did with the inside linebackers if the one injury heals. Yeah, and essentially we got 2 inside linebackers for the price that we got at Cut and Jack. So that's a smart money move. Absolute smart money move. Badesheimer is bathroom. Badesheimer. Oh, yeah, bathroom in German. Dankeschön. Dankeschön. So, yes, with the glass half full thing, as far as the GM goes, Omar is good at the contract side. Yes, he is. And Weidel's good at finding talent. Excited for that. Controversial opinion, I believe Omar Khan will be the better GM than Colbert. Has already been doing a stellar job. We have to see. This will be his first draft. Colbert's had some awesome drafts for us. So we'll have to see how this works. Colbert started off really solid, but faded down some down the stretch. Travel Buddy, you put in a special request. Stryker will host a show just for you at your time. I think with all the time I'm putting in on the shows, I can't do an extra show. But you can watch it. You can watch it on replay, and it would be fun for you. And then you can just fast forward to our pick, however you want to do it. Yep, East Coast 6 hours delay, but last 21 years, I didn't miss a single game from our Steelers or any draft. So no chance in hell it will ever happen. Awesome. Then you can watch us live on the draft show. That's great, Travel Buddy. Enjoy the show as always, boss man. Thank you for all you do. Never get tired watching you on Tuesday. Stay safe. Take care of yourself and your family. Salute. See you next year. See you next week. You too, Michael Hall. Great talking with you as always, my friend. Robert, thanks, George, for complimenting the positivity, but I got to admit I don't trust people who are always positive and most respect skepticism, but not cynicism. It's good to be happy, though. Nice, Rob. Drew, Dotson is a people mover, but I think aside from penalties, he was charged with both sacks that led to Kenny's 2 concussions. Yeah, that's tough. That would be a reason to get rid of him. Definitely would be a reason. Wo ist ein Walla? Walla. Walla. Where is my wallet? I said mine wallet. Thanks, Jake. Thanks for all the German lessons. Brian Brown, will Baker Mayfield start to look like Tom Brady? You know, like Amityville Horror? Yeah, might be. At least he's got a team and he's got a place to play. In case I went to Amsterdam. Exactly, Jake. Okay, so that is for Amsterdam. That is Flemish or Dutch. For sure I'll be here. I'm excited because of soccer accident a few years ago. So time is just a number for me. What, you used to play soccer and you got into an accident? I'm not sure what you meant by that. To replay that one because I'll still say that. Instagram, I'm going to be staying here and answering all your questions. I'm sorry I haven't been able to get to them as quickly. We've been real active across all of our platforms, but I'm getting to all right now, right after I sign off. So don't be confused or upset. I'm coming to you right after this. But guys, that's all the time we have on the show. Make sure you share this with your friends. Like us as much as you can. Go over to YouTube, subscribe to us, YouTube/Steeler Nation. You will get all the notifications letting you know when I go live. It's usually on Tuesdays at 7. Going live for all the draft show stuff. We'll have some great stuff on there, guys. Make sure to follow. Come over to SteelerNation.com. That's where the podcast is. That's where all articles are. We're all Steeler focused. Great stuff over there at SteelerNation.com. Tweet us at Steeler Nation. Instagram us and Facebook at SteelerNation.com. Follow the podcast on Twitter at _SN Podcast, or follow me, your host, Steeler Nation Striker, on the grams, on the tickety talks, on the tweety tweets at SN Striker, spelled with a Y. Why? Because I'm crazy about the Steelers. That's all the time we got on the Steeler Nation Vidcast, sponsored by Total Sports Enterprises. I'm your host, G.Stryker, rooting along with you as always. Go